All right, guys, it is Sunday night. I've wrapped everything up as far as training-wise. I got just a couple more minutes of work left to do. Closing my evening. I got everybody in bed. But I wanted to go ahead and knock out as many YouTube questions as possible. I got several questions in from you guys over the weekend, and I wanted to knock out a video before they got too long, because I like to get long-winded every once in a while. So I'm here in the dark. My cat, 100%, is going to come down and start screaming. Literally haven't heard a word from him in hours. But that's the way it's going to go. I got a dog too. You ever hear him? Absolutely not. He sits outside with me when I train. He's nice and quiet. My cat, on the other hand, completely other hand. So let's, I'm in a wild night with my son. He got all upset with me earlier. I was deadlifting and not giving him attention. You'll see that on my videos as they come up later on this week. But he went over and grabbed my tripod that I use for my phone and broke it into 4 pieces. Just snap, snap, snap while I was deadlifting. So I pulled a good deadlift, and then I could see it from the corner of my eye before I began my lift, what he was doing. Yeah. So using something different, hoping it works out pretty well and doesn't fall over. Let's see. I had quite a few questions. I answered some yesterday. Let's go down through here. You asked someone, let me see. Let's get a good one to start off with. He's just going to scream, isn't he? David Duffy, glad that I'm feeling better. I am feeling better. I went out, I discovered, I got sick, and it's common with the disease that I have, that I get blisters inside my mouth, and it's part of the chemotherapy medication as well. Depletes B vitamins, and you can really only replace those through, it's like an injection, a 3 ml injection twice a day for about 3 weeks. So I started that, nice and sore from those because they burn going in. But my mouth has been really sore, and I've barely eaten for several days because of that. This morning I pulled a tooth out because it was on its way out anyway. And I got all these blisters in my mouth, and there's a really good mouthwash from the pharmacy that I've been using, and it really helps it heal fast. But it's just, a few days with very little to no food. And then yesterday I discovered, day before yesterday, that I can eat tuna steak, yellowfin tuna steak. So I went to the store last night before curfew, and bought several of those and been eating those. The upside, they have a ton of protein. The downside is even if I get even getting 100 grams of protein, I'm not even getting 500 calories. So it's not going to give me the caloric surplus that I need, even though it's a high source of protein. And it's actually very affordable here. And then I also found some affordable Wagyu steaks. And those are amazing, especially if you can find affordable. And they basically melt like butter in your mouth. So they at least have the fat, they have the calories, and it gives me a beef nutritional option that I can still, basically just take apart with my tongue and swallow down. Having a problem with salt. Most carbs have hurt. So I've been taking rice and thinning that out with water just to kind of drink those. But I'll be back in a couple of days. Big Papa Durham said he likes the steak. He likes to eat steak or 2 pounds of hamburger every night. It's funny. I had friends that I remember an old buddy of mine used to stay up. I laughed that he would stay up an extra hour and a half later at night, way past his bedtime, just to eat an extra sirloin and baked potato before going to bed. Food was more important than an extra hour and a half of sleep for him. So, and I've done that so many times, just stayed up because I knew I had one more meal to get down. I still take food to bed with me. But yeah, that's what I do pretty much every single night. I mean, if I don't eat and then go straight to bed, I'm going to wake up anyway. And an hour and a half or 2 hours after going to sleep, and I'm going to be hungry and thirsty. And that's 7 nights a week for years. But if I don't eat before I go to bed, that I'm going to eat all night long. Let's see. Rich Reyes says, so what I'm saying is even if I brush and oil an Ohio power bar after each use, will it still rust? I was told that with bare steel, you can avoid rust. With a bare steel bar, you can avoid rust, but you can't read the rest of that. With the Ohio bar that I have, and it's the bare steel bar, it went from absolutely beautiful to completely covered in rust in less than 2 months. And the day that I got it, I brushed it. And then the week that I had it, not the same day, but in the week that I got to the gym, I brushed it down with oil, 3-in-1 oil as a protectant. Because I do live in a very humid climate, very hot climate, and the humidity is salt water because my gym is next to the sea. And, it's not a sealed, like my house is very, very tightly sealed, and my gym is not sealed at all. So it doesn't, all bars are going to rust at my gym, but it definitely did basically a lifetime's worth of rust in about 2 months. That said, it's still a great bar. It's still a bar. It's what I use for car deadlifts. It's like our third bar, We don't use it really for anything unless there's nothing else to use. But I have no reservations about using it. I have no reservations about safety with the bar. It's just not going to be beautiful. It looks like how all my other bars look after 10 years. Beyond that, actually, because my Texas Power Bar is 10 years older, way older, and it still doesn't look that bad. But it's a great bar. Great bar. Let's see. I know I had some good ones here. Mm, 4 days ago. Okay. Why do I, Double Tap says, why do I put a sponge on the box? That's a foam pad. It would be like a couch cushion, but like a really old, thick, heavy-duty couch cushion. It's really, really hard to explain, but anytime you box squat off of a piece of foam, it is a little bit harder. And the softer that the foam is, the softer and the thicker that the foam is, the harder it's going to be to come off that box. When you drive off the box, and we're always measuring with a box squat, you're measuring how reactive you are off the bottom of the box. If you're very reactive, very explosive, then we know you're strong and athletic. If you're very slow off the box, very methodical off the box, we know that your strength and agility is not where it needs to be. A hard box, piece of wood, flat, you can drive right off of it. Something soft, it's like it slows you down. I don't know if it plays a trick on your mind, but I've used softer boxes, and not only do you sink a little bit deeper with a softer box because it's softer, not as dense, but you always tend to come off the box a little bit slower. It is harder to have you don't have a hard surface because you've got your 3 points of contact, foot to foot, and your butt on the box. So when what your butt is on, that point of contact, if it is fluid, then you really only have 2 points of contact and then a bounce, and it's really difficult to come off. All that said, having the foam pad on the box, if I'm teaching someone how to squat, I'm going to teach them how to box squat. And I want them to box squat perfectly before we ever remove the box. If they're having lots of issues, then I will stack up foam pads so that foam pad is basically touching their butt when they're standing. That way it's touching their legs. If something is touching their legs, they're normally able to sit back a little bit. If they feel something touching their legs, I can have them sit back against the foam, going back against the foam and sitting on that box. So it's a great teaching tool using high foam. Using the foam that I use, what I can say is that I can squat with more weight, more intensity, more often throughout a 6-month, 12-month, 5-year time period with less strain on my back and hips. That foam contracts, that foam is 6 inches thick and it contracts all the way down to about 1/4 of an inch. whenever I'm fully setting on it. And I can say that it takes off just enough of the pressure on my lower back that I can tell when I remove it. So I highly suggest it. And if you're getting ready for a powerlifting meet, you would still do your work off the foam, off the box, and then your sets after that would be a couple of heavier singles without either one. But you're doing all the hard work with it the safest way possible. Gabriel Hendricks asks, Clint, for what purpose are the band for the battle rope exercises? You've seen LeBron James doing them, and that makes me wonder. I've not seen LeBron James do. I haven't watched a LeBron James video. You're talking about the video, I believe, the video where I'm standing on probably the balance board, and I've taken 4 light bands, two with each hand, and I'm doing the battle rope, shaking them up and down. I've got a lot of issues with my feet, and my right foot I can barely feel anyway. And you can see that when I do a lot of athletic movements, that I'm having problems feeling my right foot. The ability to sprint, move quickly with the strongman implement is really, really difficult to do. So I'm working on gaining that back. If I cannot gain the nerve function back, I want my body to develop a different and better motor pattern so that I can move. So that's me on the wobble board. Now with the battle ropes, honestly, that part of that is me maintaining balance. And part of that, if I'm doing it for several minutes at a time, several rounds of several minutes. I just put up, I think, 1 round of 1 minute, but I normally do that at nights for several rounds. So like 3 rounds of 2 minutes. And, the shaking is a lot of biceps, forearms. It's a little bit of lats, rear delts, upper back, going side to side, different directions. All of it is agility. It's moving, developing movement patterns, motor patterns, as well as being, after a couple of minutes, a decent amount of arm work, upper back work, and a lot of the muscles that keep you strong and safe in powerlifting and strongman. But you only get that if you do that for a long period of time. And the brilliance about using this over, say, doing standard bicep curls and rows and pull downs and tricep work and forearm work is that doing it in this fashion tends to not beat up your joints nearly as badly. You still grow like a weed. Somebody commented the other day that my arms feel like they had just grown like crazy. Jeremy Zitfeld, what do you use to edit your clips? You're looking for something easy-ish and quick. I use Adobe Premiere Pro CS6. On my phone, I have a couple of other programs, but I don't like using my phone. I've used other software in the past, but that's what I'm using now. It's not easy, cheap, or quick, but it's what gets the job done. Do I squat and deadlift on the same day? By Big Johnson. Not normally. I have before. For a long period of time, I've always done my box squats followed by speed deadlifts. Always, because it's a speed day. So my box squats are speed work, and then my deadlifts would always be somewhere between 50 and 65%, with about 20% of bands or chains for anywhere between 7 and 10 singles with 15 seconds rest in between. Teaching my body to learn how to pull heavy weight very fast, very explosively, while working on technique and mastering the single all at the same time. What you saw on that video was that I was sick on deadlift day, which was Monday. And I thought, well, I'll just skip the day. And then as Wednesday rolled around, I started thinking about how bad I missed doing deadlifts. So when I left home to go to the gym to do box squats, I took my deadlift bar, put it in my car, drove to the gym. So that day I did my box squat session, which I knew was going to be a low volume session. It would be easy to recover from. My chain suspended mornings, which were heavy, but it was a great warm up for me to come in there and finish with my deadlifts. And I got my deadlift session in after that. And I knew that my deadlift session was not going to be crazy heavy either, or hard to recover from. So that was a perfect time to put everything together. But there's nothing wrong with deadlifting on squat day. In a powerlifting meet, you will squat, bench, and deadlift in the same day. You got to learn how to do that. Some real nice, interesting stuff that I can't read out loud. Tyler Hart comments, "Hey Clint, everyone, if my ankles feel weak when squatting over 42 inches wide, any tips other than wearing chucks to strengthen and protect that area? I have no idea why someone would refuse to wear chucks. I really don't. I don't know. Understand why someone. I mean, that's one of the big points of wearing chucks. The shoe weighs literally nothing. The chucks that I'm deadlifting in now, I found a thing on Facebook. It was like 9 years ago today, and it had me squatting in those shoes. So I've had those shoes for nearly 10 years, and I put a hole in them, and I've got another new pair upstairs. But they last forever if you take care of them. People always complain that chucks don't last long. Well, quit wearing them to the gym. They're squat shoes. They're training shoes. They're not, I put them on at home, get in the car, goof around, go to the mall, go to the gym, play everywhere in the gym. You put them on before you squat. You take them off when you squat. They're squat shoes. They last forever if all you do is squat in them. So I don't know why you wouldn't just buy a cheap pair of chucks and put them on. Or equivalent pair of shoes, especially if you want something to protect your ankles. I mean, the idea of chucks is you can push out as hard as you want on the side of that shoe and it is not going to roll. So you're using the shoe to your advantage when you're squatting. You do want to work on strengthening your ankles. There's a ton of stuff. The Ready State, which used to be the mobility wad, they have a ton of stuff about strengthening ankles. Man, of course, you can go to Chris Duffin with Kabuki Strength. He has a ton of stuff about ankles. And then, I always go to from there. There's AccuMobility. The best place you can find them is on Instagram. They have a lot of really, really neat stuff that sometimes if other people don't have the answer, they have a really good answer. And then, of course, Super D 3000, Donnie Thompson, always has great stuff. So you can always pick up ideas from him. So if you have a weakness, any weakness, always solve it. I'm always working on stuff with bands, with my toes, trying to get them to, back to functioning. Smashing my ankles. I've got a ton of tools that I use for my feet, ankles, calves, hams, trying to get those back to working. But buy a pair of chucks, man. Buy a pair of chucks. E-Church misses the old school House of Biceps metal intro. But all Darwinism is appreciated. I've still got it. The only issue is that it takes me, if I shoot a 30-minute video and I shoot it with my other camera and process it, it's a 2 to 4 hour processing deal. Whereas this is record and hit upload. Man, I'm losing my voice. Which is a big deal. It turns a shoot and push a button into importing into my computer, pulling into Adobe, and then editing, processing, saving, and then uploading from there. So and then editing effects, sound and music and stuff like that. But I will work on it. When I have something really good to talk about, I will work it and make a proper video. Zach Tham comments, "Hey Clint, do I have any issues with grooved sleeves when using iron plates?" You're talking about the grooved sleeves on the bar. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't used it in a while. I think every plate that I've got here at home is a bumper plate. That way I can use it here at home. And I've got enough bumpers so I can have a full set at home and then a partial set at the gym. I've got all my iron plates at the gym as well. I never have. Get some good collars. I've got a deadlift bar here, and I've got bumpers, and they will slide on the deadlift bar. That's why you see all those videos, people deadlifting and the plates falling off. If you're going to use a deadlift bar, you have got to use the best collars you can possibly find, because the weights don't want to stay on a deadlift bar. The deadlift bar bends so much that it wants to slide off. So you've got to invest good money in collars. So, I mean, even when I deadlift, I will use plastic clips, if you watch my videos, and then I will use croc lock collars from Elite FTS on the end. It rubber grabs it really, really well. At the gym, I will use weightlifting collars, and those pretty much those lock in really well and don't let anything move. I don't have any major issues. Gay Trini Rarin says, my quads getting the HD look. Good work. My quads definitely are getting bigger as you know, my legs are a lot bigger than they were a year ago, but I am much heavier than I was a year ago. My legs have always been lean since I was in my teens. I think when I had only been squatting for a couple of years. I was 17 maybe. And the first time I shaved my legs, I noticed that I had cross striations down my thighs. But I have naturally extremely lean legs. My legs grow like crazy as long as I put them through the reps, which I have not been doing for years until 2020. So working on keeping the reps in there, I've got to get my legs to continue to grow. I can turn growth into strength, and then strength into performance. But I really hate doing reps. Did I get a new Jack deadlift suit? I've had it for a year, so I've been using it for a year, but I look at my back was in really bad shape a year ago. All the way through Christmas when I began using my reverse hyper, so I wasn't able to really use my deadlift suit without severe pain. And then after that, I tore my hamstring in June. So I was training at home in March. So we began our lockdown in March. So I couldn't go anywhere. So getting into a deadlift suit at home is kind of difficult. Nothing to really hang on. And then after a hamstring tear, I couldn't use enough weight to even justify putting my suit on. And it's kind of the same right now. I can't justify putting my suit on for the weights that I'm using. So, but it will be on soon. You're also getting the metal Jack canvas suit. I think you're going to love it. I mean, I love mine. Wonderful suit. It's tight about mid upper thighs and an uncomfortable spot on me, but that's just how my body is. But the Velcro on the legs is absolutely phenomenal. I do think it stretches. A lot of people says it doesn't. I do think it stretches. Let's see what else. Zach commented back, Clint, I prefer smooth sleeves over grooved, ribbed sleeves. Do I have a preference? Something to note. My Texas deadlift bar, my Texas squat bar, my Texas power bar, my Rogue Ohio bar, they are all ribbed on the sleeve. A little bitty rough lines. That will go away with use. My Texas squat bar has been used quite a bit. My Texas power bar has been used quite a bit. Those are pretty much gone. My Texas deadlift bar, obviously, I got it this summer. So it's fine. My Aleco weightlifting bar, men and women's. My Rogue weightlifting bar, men and women's. And all of my old normal gym bars are smooth. And of course, my axles are just rust. They're smooth. I've never thought about which one I prefer. I mean, I use the SS yoke bar and it's smooth. So as long as you have a good collar, it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. What else? JB Chicago. Let's see. JB Chicago says, is that my basement gym? You thought I had a garage gym. This is just a section of my living room that I'm training in. When we began lockdown, I mean, everything was closed and we had actual lockdowns. You couldn't leave your house without government permission. and you could leave your house one time a day and it was timed, like 3 hours. And police were pulling over 25,000 people a day. Was that right? Checking them. So, and if you get caught, it was a €300 fine. So I brought most of my stuff home, and my wife let me carve out a small section of, actually, she let me carve out more than half of the living room and turn into a gym. And then I've got stuff outside as well. So in the summertime, they were outside training with me a little bit. And then they were in here doing stuff in the mornings as well as on the rower, because they both compete in rowing, my wife and son. So yeah, it's just a small section of my living room that I've just totally made it look terrible with gym equipment. And my wife hasn't killed me. But I do still have my House of Biceps gym. That is actually a 15-minute drive from here, which is the big reason I was not able to go there much during the lockdown. But I still go there every Wednesday to box squat. Corey Wolkley commented, man, I'm always impressed by your creativity and ability to improvise. I really appreciate that. I really, really do. More than you know. I've had a lot of videos and photos that I've had to come up with. And you know, I think everything goes back, you know, I go back to like 1999, 98 when I began training at my first home gym. You know, I realized there's a lot of things that I wanted to do. And I came from like a bodybuilding perspective background. So that was kind of the idea that, you know, you need all these machines and you know, dumbbells and you need all this stuff. And this was before bands. This was before cameras, before cell phones. So, you know, I was training in my garage, and, you know, you're sitting there looking around, you know, okay, what do I have? Okay, what movement do I need to do, and what function does it need to serve? And then you start figuring out a way that you can do that. So, I mean, that's what I've done since 1998. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now is stuff that I did 20 years ago, but I didn't have it on camera, and I was smart enough to have training journals back then. So I would write down stuff and diagram stuff out and draw little stick figures of the exercises that you see me doing, you know, kind of now. So I've got a lot of clients that their gyms have closed, and they're training in the parking garage, you know, of their apartment building with sandbags and bands, and they've made an axle and they've made plates from concrete. And this is where a lot of the stuff that I did when I first created my home gym is paying off for them, because I can come up with rough ideas on what they can do. And because I've done it myself, I have a really good idea on how to push it, how hard it's going to tax them, what it's going to hurt, and is it going to transfer over when we get back to a regular barbell soon. So I've got a bunch of stuff that I needed to get done tonight, and I didn't because it was just way too late and I had way too much to get done, and I need to recover. I'm sure you can hear that. But I've got more stuff coming out this week, so you don't want to miss the videos. If you like the creative stuff, wait till you see what I come out with this week. A lot of really neat stuff. I'll try to get it out on video for you guys. Chosen 2, he saw the video I posted for him. He's 3 weeks out, hopefully from a national record. He says he's on it. Good. Explorer 213, man, I'm always glad to get a comment from you, anything from you. I said, you know, can I actually fit into my BMW Z3 on that video? And he says, put it in neutral and give it a push. I moved my Corolla out of the garage by hand yesterday. I'm sure I could do that with my car as well. Or I could just, I have to open the top to get in. Normally I can get in by myself. I can wedge myself and then smack the back of my head on the top and get in myself. But getting out of the car, I have to open the top to be able to get out. I cannot bend down and get out the window. I could last year, but the last bit of weight that I've gained, I'm not fitting into a small enough space to get out of the door. So I have to open the top to get out. So it's a funny video. I know I've had people in the neighborhood say, yeah, the really big guy that drives a little small car, the really big, mean-looking guy that drives the small car, that's me. So I don't think I'm big. I'm definitely not mean. But I love my car. Absolutely love my car. So I've got one more notification. Is it anything new? No. Let's check out sweetiegirls.online at 49 seconds of my video. Nothing new. But anyway, guys, that's 30 minutes. I'm going to get this uploaded. You guys ask me some more questions, and I will sit down the next couple of days and just continue answering questions every night before going to bed. I love interacting with you guys. There's nothing here that you guys really have to listen to or really look at and watch. You could just put these videos on and hit play and listen to it as you're going through your day. I may say something funny. I may not. I don't know. But I've got some stuff I'm working on this week, a lot of new content, especially after I get through Sunday, which is tonight, Monday and Tuesday, then my work week slows down and I can work on a lot more promotional videos for you guys later in the week. Still working on getting my squat cycle worked out for you guys. Still working on my Atlas Stone program, which I really hate to give that away. Really hate to give it away. But I'm going to work on getting a good solid version of that out for you guys to watch as well. So anything you guys want to hear about, just ask away and I will ad lib as quickly as possible. Have a great night, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.